Now this, we're going to go out to her grave. I feel like we should, but the Anne Rutledge story happened here. James Rutledge had a prominent position as New Salem's town founder. And like many residents, the South Carolina-born Rutledge came to Illinois in stages, settling for periods in Georgia, Tennessee, and Kentucky. He was remembered to have presided over many of New Salem's public gatherings, which this would have been him, and to have headed the debating society. Rutledge's family operated the village tavern, or called the inn, and was an integral part of the community until 1833. Then they moved to a farm near Sand Ridge, where Anne died in August of 1835, followed by James on December 3rd of 1835. So here is Lincoln supposedly courting Anne. Like we read, there's always varying accounts. Some people said that he was madly in love with her, and some people said that they were just close friends. But the story is here. Says that Anne Rutledge was the daughter of James Rutledge, the founder of New Salem, who operated the tavern. Several New Salem residents later told the story that Lincoln had fallen in love with Anne. Some said that he courted her, and the couple actually became engaged. It's also said that when she died on August 25th, 1835, Lincoln was grief-stricken to the point of becoming temporarily mentally deranged. Modern historians quarrel over the truth of the Abe loved Anne story. Skeptics point out that there is not one shred of written evidence in Lincoln's hand to support the story. They also argue that the Rutledge family and many aging residents of New Salem may have wanted to enhance their own importance by embellishing the relationship of the two. Believers have argued that there are many recollections of the romance, and the stories of old settlers are fairly consistent. And William Herndon, who was Abraham Lincoln's law partner at one time, he's the one that did all the interviews and the research, and he and Mary Lincoln did not like each other at all. So while she was still alive, he released his essays about saying that Anne was his true love, and Mary hated that. He said he would kind of like rib her in the press and say, "Why is she so mad at me? I'm just telling the truth, and I'm making her a sympathetic figure. Now people understand why she acts the way she does, because her husband was in love with someone else." As you can imagine, Mary hated that. So let's go see this village. There's smoke coming out of this one, and I think that's a sign that there's always a docet in there. So this is the tavern. I'm hoping this is the Rutledge Tavern. Over here, again, you can see where they would have kept some of their food. Keep it cool. Let's check it out. Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
This is the tavern, huh?
This is the Rutledge Tavern, a place to eat and a place to sleep, not a place to drink alcohol. The tavern license states, then and now you must provide a hot meal and a place to rest. Back then it was a place to lay your head, today it's a place to sit. This was primarily the Rutledge home of 8 children, 4 girls and 4 boys, so they're not going to serve alcohol in their home. That would be quite unseemly to serve alcohol to the public. So men and boys climbed up that ladder, slept up there in the loft with your bedroll, sleeping bag. Ladies would have slept in that second room there on that rare occasion that they're traveling to New Salem with y'all.
Wow. So they would have bought their alcohol over at the general store, but couldn't drink it here.
Couldn't drink it there either.
Oh.
You could pop the cork and take a swig, but they're not going to serve you a drink.
Okay.
They're hopefully you'll fill up your jug and get the hee-haw out. But Claire's Grocery down around the corner there, they had a liquor grocer's license. The store did not need a liquor license because they're not being served. You're being sold packaged liquor, even though you're bringing in the jug to put it in.
Neat.
So you want a liquor grocer's license, that's going to cost you extra, and then people are going to be drinking in your establishment. That's not something Lincoln wanted.
Yeah.
He made it, and he sold it, but he didn't want to serve it.
Ah, interesting.
They didn't want the scallywags hanging around, getting drunk, busting up the place, which they were famous for doing.
Come in here and look around. And again, that's Anne Rutledge. So this would have been her family home. At the very, very least, we know she was a good friend of Abraham Lincoln's, but potentially the love of his life. According to William Herndon, he thought so. Or if he didn't think so, he certainly loved putting the rumor out there so that Mary Todd Lincoln would have to deal with it. It says they left in 1833. Famous tavern. Wow. That was one of the main things I wanted to see. So we're going to Anne Rutledge's grave, and she's only 5 minutes away in Oakland Cemetery. Here it is, Oakland Cemetery. She wasn't originally buried here. She was exhumed and moved over here. She was originally buried near New Salem, where we were just at. But she should be easy to find because her headstone has a poem written about her on it when they reburied her. All right, we're definitely close. Anne Rutledge and Edgar Lee Masters sign right there. Before we get over to the grave, I noticed this. It says the Anne Rutledge Tulip Tree. The Oakland Cemetery was designed around 1879 around this tree, whose origin, age are unknown. The remains of Anne Rutledge lie under its afternoon shade. So also here's the grave of Edgar Lee Masters, and I show this because when we get to Anne's grave, you're going to see the poem that he wrote called Anne Rutledge is now her headstone. Now over here you can see they have a blue sign that says this is Anne Rutledge's grave. And there's just so many varying accounts that, it was so long ago that I don't know if we'll ever really know the truth. Like I said, there was a story I had read where she was already engaged, but then I also read that she and Abraham were engaged and that he kept putting it off because he wanted to acquire more land and be more successful. And then she got typhoid. But here is her headstone now, and it has a poem written on it. It says, "Out of me unworthy and unknown, the vibrations of deathless music, with malice towards none, with charity for all. Out of me forgiveness of millions towards millions, and the beneficent face of a nation, shining with justice and truth. I am Anne Rutledge, who sleeps beneath these weeds, beloved of Abraham Lincoln, wedded to him not through union but through separation. Bloom forever, O Republic, from the dust of my bosom. January 7th, 1813 to August 25th, 1835. Let's see what the other side looks like. Her father, as we saw in there, was credited as selling the first lots to the town and actually kind of designing the layout. Nothing on this side, designing the layout of the town. And then when he decided to move on, because he had converted, she was the third of 8 kids, he had converted their home into the tavern that we saw, or what was originally at that tavern. And then he ended up giving it to Anne to run as a family business. So she was described as being, there are no photos of her. It was before photos, so we don't really have an accurate description, but it said that she was described as physically beautiful, 5'3", 120 pounds, with auburn hair, blue eyes, and a fair complexion. She was always in positive attitude. And it said that she was always in the midst of doing something, whether it be sewing or working or something. She was mentored by the school teacher there in that schoolhouse, which his name was Mentor Graham. She was described as being the first female student at that school, and she was exceptionally a good scholar. And Anne had met Abraham while he was boarding at her house at the Rutledge Inn. They believe that there he was seeing her so often they became very close and fell in love. And unfortunately, Anne ended up contracting typhoid that went through. But people in town, when William Herndon came back to interview because he wanted to capture the true life and times of Lincoln. Looks like this is her original headstone, this rock down here. Wow. Says her name on it. He was trying to find people that knew Abraham Lincoln in those early days and interviewed people, and family members seemed to believe that they were really close and that they were in love, but then other people would say they were just close friends. They would describe her as very handsome and attractive, and said thinks she did sewing for the entire family. Lincoln was boarding there when he met her, and they became engaged to be married, putting off the wedding for a while so he could accumulate more property. But unfortunately, their life changed when she got really sick at 22 years old, and apparently called Lincoln to her bedside and said his final goodbye to her there, where people said he became completely unhinged after her passing, and her school teacher even said that Abraham Lincoln confided in him that he didn't know how he could go on without her. So William Herndon put that out in his essays. So a lot of people have always, Lincoln fanatics have always been interested in finding out more about Anne and finding the truth. But Mary Todd Lincoln hated it. She was very insulted that he would do that, and who knows, it's a good possibility he did that for that very reason. Rest in peace, Anne Rutledge, perhaps the love of Abraham Lincoln's life. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. If you can make it out here, please do. This is a really amazing trip, and it's by donation only. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time from New Salem, Lincoln's New Salem. Goodbye.